Today, in this class, we are going to start a new chapter, that is transportation problem. So far, we have studied the linear programming problem of two or more variables, and we have tried to give a mathematical problem to the given problem, and also we have learned its graphical solution, and thereafter we studied simplex technique, where we try to solve linear programming problems of more than two variables also. And then we also learned the duality in linear programming problem. We have seen how the solutions of a primal problem can be read from the solutions of a given dual, or vice versa. Or what does it mean? That if you have the solution of a primal, you can read the solutions of a dual also, or if you have the solutions of dual, you can read out the solutions of a primal problem as well. So we have studied all these things. Now we are going to study a special type of linear programming problem in which the objective is to transport goods, products from various sources to different destinations in such a way that transportation cost is minimized and the warehouse requirements are met, as well as the source requirements, means plant capacity constraints, are also met. So in this kind of problem, or in this transportation model, goods and products are transported from a set of sources to another set of destinations, subject to the supply and demand of the sources and destinations. It means every source has a supply constant and every destination has a demand constant. So the object of the problem is to minimize the cost of transportation in order to meet the requirements both at the destination and also at the source. This transportation model is generally used for machine assignment, plant location, product mix problems, warehouse suppliers, and many other kinds of real life problems. So let us try to give a general mathematical model of transportation model. So let us say there are m sources, O1, O2, O3, like OM, and n destinations, D1, D2, D3, I is equal to 1 to m and D is equal to 1 to n. So say these are O1, O2, OM, or these are the, say, sources, resources from where supplies are to be made to destinations D1, D2, Dn, etc. O1 has this origin, we, or the supply source has a limited capacity of A1, O2 has a limited capacity of A2, likewise OM has a limited capacity of AM. So similarly, D1, the destination D1 has a demand limited to a quantity B1, D2 has a demand of B2, and say Dn has a demand of Bn. So this is the demand Bj. So let I is equal to 1 to m, be the amount of goods of supply of demand required at the destinations. Ai is the amount of goods of supply available at the sources, and Bj, j is equal to 1 to n, is the amount of goods required at the destinations. And Xi is the amount of goods transported from origin OI to destination Bj. Xij is the quantity which you are going to supply from origin OI to destination Bj. We assume that we cannot see more goods from any origin to any destination than are available at that origin. Obviously, we cannot supply more than that. Further, each destination is supplied with the number of units required. No more supply is given there. Since a negative amount of goods cannot be saved, therefore all Xij has to be equal, greater than equal to 0. Either you do not supply, or if you supply, then it has to be Xij will be greater than 0 for all values of I and j. So mathematically, the problem could be written as minimize total cost Z is equal to Xij. These are the rim condition. Sigma Xij, I is equal to 1 to m is equal to Ai, I is equal to 1 to m. Sigma Xij, j is equal to 1 to n is equal to Bj, where j is equal to 1 to n, and Xij greater than equal to 0 for all I and j. So these are the origins, and these are the destinations D1, D2, D3. A1, B1, say A2, B2, likewise M and Bn. So if you are supplying from one origin 1 to this origin, suppose the quantity is X11 and the cost is C11. From origin 1, if you supply to destination 2, the cost is C12, X12. Likewise, from 1 to 2, if you supply, this is some cost. So this is the general model. So total supply is equal to total demand. It has to be there. Then only the feasible solution will exist. Sigma Ai is equal to sigma Bj, also called rim conditions, that total supply must be equal to total demand. So as I had shown you, this is the tabular form of the transportation problem. So these are the origins O1, O2, OM. These are the destinations D1, D2, Dn. And at each origin, you have a maximum capacity of say A1, A2 like AM. And at each destination, your requirement is B1, B2 like Bn. You have decided that from origin O1 to D1, you supply a quantity of X11. From origin O1 to D2, you supply a quantity of X12. And the supply cost, transportation cost of 1 unit of item from O1 to D1 is C11. From O1 to D2 is C12. Likewise, from O1 to Dn, it is C11. So the cost of transportation from any origin O1 to any origin D1 is C11. So these are the cost of transportation, and these are the amount of material which have been transported. So our intention is to minimize the cost of transportation, and the rim condition is that all sigma Ai, all sigma for a rho is equal to I is equal to rho 1, 2, 3, all rho sigma Ai should be equal to sigma Bj, all Bj B1, B2, B3, Bn. And total supply is equal to total demand. So one thing you must remember here, that when the number of positive allocations at any stage of the feasible solution is less than the required number, that is row plus column minus 1. There are m rows, n columns, so m plus n minus 1. If the number of allocations are less than m minus n1, the problem is said to be degenerate. Means number of independent constant equations is m plus n. See here, there are m rows, 1 row, 2 rows, 3 rows, m row, likewise this is m rows. These are the n columns, so m plus n, row plus column is m plus n. So, and these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, like these are the allocations where you have allocated from OM to you have sent to D1, from OM you have sent to D2, and likewise you are sending some quantity of material from a origin to destination. So these are called the field cells. Field cells or cells where some allocations have been made. So number of allocations must be equal to m plus n minus 1, means number of row plus number of column minus 1. Otherwise the problem becomes degenerate and you cannot solve the problem. There are ways and techniques to remove this degeneracy, but we should understand at this stage that to start the solution of the problem, number of allocations must be equal to m plus n minus 1. So the cells where the transportation have been made, some positive allocations have been made, these are called occupied cells or filled-in cells. So now we try to understand the key terminology. One is the feasible solution, a set of non-negative values. There cannot be any negative values because you cannot supply a negative quantity from any source to any destination. Supply of negative quantity implies what? That you are, instead of supplying, you are taking out some material from there. But this is not the problem under consideration. We have to supply some quantity of material from one source to another destination. Not that we are pulling out material from those destinations to the source. This is not the case. So, what is a feasible solution? A set of non-negative values xij, I is equal to 1, 2, 3 m and j is equal to 1, 2, 3 n that satisfies the constants is called a feasible solutions. And if a solution, a feasible solution is considered to be a basic, if exactly m plus n minus 1 non-negative allocations are made in the table. And a basic feasible solution is called optimal if it minimizes the cost of transportation. And if a feasible solution of m into n transportation matrix is said to be non-degenerate basic feasible solution if total number of positive allocations is exactly equal to m plus n minus 1 and these allocations are in independent positions. This is also another very important characteristic. You have understood that number of allocations, number of occupied cells should be equal to m plus n minus 1. Then only the problem is degenerate. But there is another condition also that these allocations must be independent position. What is the independent position? A set of allocations, as the definition given in the PPT, that a set of allocations is said to be in independent positions if it is impossible to form any closed loops through these allocations in the given table. So a loop is formed by drawing lines either horizontally or vertically, and you can turn the direction again horizontally or vertically only at the point of allocations. And if you are able to form a loop, then this is called that dependent positions, not independent positions. So if the allocations are made at independent positions so that no loop can be formed, then only the problem is said to be non-degenerate. Otherwise, the problem becomes degenerate. So see here, if you start from here, you may go horizontally either this right side or left side, or vertically upside. You cannot go because this is the end of the table, so you can vertically come downward. Now you come here, you cannot change your direction because you can change the direction only at the cell where there is some allocation. So you start from here. If you go this, then here you can change the direction or simply ignore it. You can go straight away. So anywhere if you go, you find that you cannot make a loop. You cannot make one dependent loop. Therefore, this is an allocation which shows independent positions, and this is an undegenerate solution. Now, how is a loop formed? It is said that if in a transportation table, if an ordered set of 4 or more cells form a loop, when any two adjacent cells in the ordered set lie either in the same column or same row. Either it should lie in the same column or same row. It is in the same column, in the same row, but this is not the final condition. This may be the one of the conditions. So even though it is in the same, there are two equations in the same column or same row, but still it is not possible to make the loop. It says that two cells must be in the same column or row. Then any three or more adjacent cells in the ordered set do not lie in the same column or same row. Three cells should not be in the same row or same column. And every loop has an even number of cells. So I would show you here. Suppose these are the four allocations 1, 2, 3, 4. So one can go here, take a direction here. From there he goes here. He can change the direction here. So this becomes a loop. So these are not called independent positions. Come here, see here. Suppose these are the allocations. So suppose one starts from here. He can go here, come down here, goes here like this, and the loop is formed. So these are all dependent position. Here also you see start at any point. Suppose we start from here, go here, come here, go this point again. So this is a loop. This is a loop formation. This is a loop formation. So a loop is always formed when the allocations are in pairs. Means there cannot be 5 allocations and you will form a loop. It has to be 6, 4, 8 allocations only. And the allocations should be such that it is not possible to change a direction at any point, so that you are able to return to the same point starting from there. So if we start from here, we come here, change the direction here again, we come here, and so starting from a point, if we are able to come back to the same point by changing directions at the occupied cells, either vertically or horizontally, then it is called a loop. So these loops should not be formed. So what we have learned today, that in transportations there are some destinations where the material is to be supplied from some resources. There are certain source points. The cost of transportation of material from each source point to each destination is given, and what quantity of material will be supplied, that is to be decided, so that the total cost of transportation is reduced, and this is our basic intent of transportation problem. A transportation problem can be solved only when the allocations are so made that the problem is not degenerate. The problem becomes degenerate when the number of occupied cells is less than equal to m plus n minus 1, or even more than m plus n minus 1. So if the occupied cells is exactly equal to m plus n minus 1, then only the problem is degenerate. The problem is not degenerate, and also the allocation should be made at such points so that it is not able to form a closed loop. Means starting from that point, you are able to come back to that point. So loop formation should not be possible. Then only the problem is possible. Otherwise, the problem gets degenerate. So this is what we have learned today. Next class we shall further our discussion on this topic. Thank you for the day.